Welcome to Divination with your host, Louisa Brown. Get deep into divination and learn the true old ways. From crystal balls to tarot and much more, only on Divination.
Hi, back again. Cushion looks weird there. There's the Ben. Ben's eating toast. I'm just trying to share to the group from my laptop. Usually Ben does this for me, but he's stuffing his face. It's okay. So just bear with me 2 ticks. There we go. That's shared. Right. Pop that away. Right, let's click on that on there. And here we go. Right then. How is everybody? Long time no see. Right. Let's give it 2 ticks. And we've got Jeanette. There we go. Hi, Jeanette. Right. So then, Evelyn, you're not going to sit there wrestling
I
that
have one.
packet.
One.
Right. Let's just wait for her to do that. Okay. Right then, let me just get my paperwork all sorted. Because tonight we are talking about spirit boards. So my daughter's just in the background. Wee. So I've got writing, pictures, everything like that ready to go. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
You can use words, child. She says I would use words, but I'm just stuffing my face. Try. Oh, she's nearly choking on a sweet now. What's Jeanette saying? I'm having Maltesers. Ella's got these like blue things. Oh, she's rustling about it again. What have they got? Tango blue balls. It's literally what it says on the packet. Tango blue balls, chewy bonbons, blue raspberry flavour. Thank you. Ghost up is a step on Trent and Chris. Hello. Okie dokie.
Sounds like a more Yorkshire accent.
What?
Ghost hunt is a still good trend.
Shush you. Right, we shall begin. Ben. Jeanette says they're really nice. Okie dokie. So, we're ready? Divination. Spirit boards. Some people love them, some hate them. I don't think there's a piece of equipment that has so much notoriety around it as spirit boards. Most people have heard of a Ouija board, and some will say it's made by Hasbro, so it's only a toy. Others will say it will open a portal to the other world and something demonic will come through and possess you. Feel free to put in the comments your thoughts, experiences on spirit boards.
Door to the other dimension.
Oh, so professional. Okay, so where did they all begin? I've got gasping now, child. Oh, yeah. If anyone remembers the first divination show I did, way like a year ago now, that was on pendulums. You may remember that I said the ancient Romans, where they used a ring and a basin, which had letters around the edge. The ring would swing to the letters and spell out the answers. And this isn't so different from using a glass or planchette to move the letters around the table. The earliest accounts of people using a type of board in one form or another dates back even further to China, 1100 BC, roughly. Here they practiced fuji, where they used a board as a tray, which was attached to a writing instrument, and the spirit would take over the device and send messages. Carry on with my pictures. There we go. Yep, looks nothing like a spirit board that we know of today, because it wasn't. It's just the only, well, it's the furthest back in history documentation of using a board for the purpose of divination, but they used it differently, as you can tell.
Did you know random?
A random fact.
A Chinese rebellion was started by a spirit
Did not know.
that led to the massacre on Earth. I think it led to a massacre of about 10,000 people.
Wow.
Or by a Ouija board, by a spirit board.
Random fact from Ben then. So obviously these methods weren't exactly the same as what we call the spirit board, but you can see where the elements have had inspiration taken from. Hang on, I'm keep my pages in order for the ones out there. Move the dog tie. Hi, yes, child. Oh, yep, child has got blue tongue from her blue balls. And now she's got the giggles. See the giggling? All right, you're just a frost giant, aren't you? Really?
A what?
Never mind. Boards as we see them now. In 1891, a patent was granted to Elijah J. Bond for the first modern Ouija board. Not James Bond, Elijah Bond. This was purchased the following year by William Fuld, who started to make his Oreo talking boards in the Southern Novelty Company of Baltimore, which was later renamed the Baltimore Talking Board Company. William Fuld ran the company for 26 years. He was a Presbyterian and didn't believe that it was a form of communication with the spirit world. However, he thought that the Ouija was a reliable advisor for business and personal matters. He said that the board, through a type of magnetism or some kind of psychological phenomenon, controlled the hands and led to the right answers. When interviewed, he told personal anecdotes. The board told him to prepare for big business, and he did by building a new factory. When a large shipment consigned to St. Paul, Minnesota, got lost and a search by railroad officials couldn't find it, Fuld asked the Ouija board and it directed him to Ohio, to the location where it had gone. On the question of the name, as in of the name of the board, he said the board named itself. He said, "We didn't know what to name it, so put the question up to the board and it spelled out O-U-I-J-A. Then there's two different versions of what happened next regarding the meaning of Ouija. As in, different sources, you get two different accounts. Not too sure which one's the true one, but yeah. One version goes that they hadn't any idea what it meant and searched a long time before they found any clue. He says, finally we discovered that it was a very close approximation of an Egyptian word, which meant good luck. The other version says that straight away, after the name Ouija came out, they asked the board what it meant, and it spelled out good luck. So either way, you just arrive, they meant good luck. However, this good luck didn't stay with William, as in February 1927, he climbed to the roof of his factory to supervise the replacement flagpole. A support post he was holding gave way and he fell backwards to his death. After this, his children took over and made many versions of the Ouija, including the rare Art Deco electric mystifying oracle, there you have it. Oh my god, oh, it's because this. Right, I've got the sun setting, it's coming in through the window and it's kind of giving the reflection of the whole camera onto there. Thank you, Evelyn. So there you go. That's the electric mystifying oracle. From there on, no, I can read, hang on. From the off, Williams' Ouija board had competition from other toy makers. Imitations such as the wireless messenger. That's the wireless messenger. And the Ido Psycho ideograph. Look how fancy that looks. Were made, and some companies even used the Ouija name and identical board layout. Ford responded with legal threats and by making a second, less expensive talking board called the Mystifying Oracle. There we go. So previous two that I showed, they were made by competitors. So as well as having his original, more expensive one, he's made the cheaper one as well. The 1940s saw many types of talking boards, including the beautiful Egyptian-themed mystic boards. Look at that. If you want to see any of these in more clarity, I can pop them up on the actual page. Just let me know in the comments. Yeah, and then you've got the mystic trays by Haskellite. Mystic tray. Then you had the Gift Crafts popular Sparmy board, featuring a flying carpet scene and a genie consulting with a crystal ball. That's that one. See, they made them so fancy back then, didn't they? Not like ones. Well, you can get some nice ones nowadays, but they don't have the old style to them. I like them. Lee Industries made a magic marble board with 4 turbaned soothsayers, the Zodiac, and some grumpy demons. And that's that board.
You know about couch dogs?
Pardon?
Summoning dice.
No.
Hmm.
I didn't say anything about that. I was about spirit boards.
Oh, it was all about dice.
I just said grumpy demons.
Oh.
Okay. In 1966, Parker Brothers bought the rights to the Ouija board and moved manufacturing from Baltimore to Salem, Massachusetts. In its first year of manufacturing here, it's outsold the Parker Brothers' top-selling game, Monopoly. Over 2 million were sold. Then, in early 1999, Parker Brothers stopped manufacturing the classic fold board and switched to a smaller glow-in-the-dark version. Hasbro, the current owners of Parker Brothers, then brought out the controversial pink version of the board, which was aimed at teenage girls. That's what that looks like. Then in 2013, they changed the board again for a darker themed design with a light up planchette that illuminates hidden messages on the board. And that's what that one looks like. So now just had a brief history of spirit boards, talking boards, Ouija boards, different variations that were brought out sort of at the time they all kind of exploded. Going to have a look at some other types of communication boards. We've got the dial plate talking boards. Some mediums during the 1800s believed there might be other, better methods of receiving messages than using boards with alphabets on. What they did was to model their equipment based on the new dial plate telegraphs of the period. Their logic was, if you could contact the living using the telegraph, then why not the non-living? In 1853, spiritualist Isaac T. Pease called his invention the spiritual telegraph dial. It was just a dial with letters arranged around the circumference and a message needle point to them. Janet says she didn't realise there were so many. I know, I didn't either. I just thought it was just standard ones and you get a couple of spin-offs, but they made them so different and more fun, I think. These dial plates were rotating discs that moved under the touch of the medium's fingers. Few of these devices survived to modern times. However, there were some modern equivalents made. I say modern, that's as in 1966, when Leonardi Studios' Phantom Wheel was made. It's not the greatest picture, but that's the Phantom Wheel. See the spinny disc. Then there were some other variants made back in the 1800s, such as Milton Bradley's Genie, the Witch's Fortune Teller. This consisted of two boards sandwiched together and a top board sliding back and forth to reveal letters through a peephole. That's the Genie board. Yeah, that there in the middle of that is the tiny peephole that just slides back and forth for the letters and the messages. An early British version was the telepathic spirit communicator made by Two Words Publishing. The wheeled message indicator moved along a track to spell messages. What is more unusual about this one is the length of instructions, as most instructions for boards and dials, etc., were quite short. So this is the telepathic spirit communicator. See, you got your slidey bit, moves up and down to point to the different letters to spell out the message. So we've got the instructions of how to use this, as I said, in comparison to other boards and devices of that type, this one came with long instructions. So when sitting for investigation into the subject of spirit return, try to take all possible precautions against outside interference. Quietude is a valuable aid. Place the fingers of one or both hands lightly on the board and sit passively until movements take place. When that occurs, ask the unseen operators to try to spell out a name or message. Should your first attempts result in failure, do not get discouraged. A sit often requires a few sittings before the power can be sufficiently controlled to ensure reliable results. Take care that mistakes do not occur on your part, and always remember that errors are quite possible on the part of the communicator. Spirits are only human beings and do not possess more knowledge or goodness than they have acquired by their own efforts, and if any should try to impose upon you, chasten them kindly. Ignorant spirits will sometimes attempt to flatter and deceive. Always exercise judgment and discretion concerning all messages received. Be kind and sympathetic towards your unseen communicators. They may need your friendship. To obtain the best results, maintain a tranquil condition of mind and cultivate a habit of sincerity and honesty. You should not sit more than an hour at a time, and not oftener than twice a week. 2 persons can use the instrument by placing one hand each lightly upon the board. After a little practice, the person sitting at the board may be blindfolded, a second person recording the messages. That's what his instructions. Oh, not destructions, instructions. Hi Jess, hope you're alright. No worries about being late. Just nice to join us. How's the packing going for download? I think you're going on Facebook. Coming up into what, 11 days or something time? Exciting. No, I'm going. I've not been for years. But anyway, I'm sure you'll have a great time. So now put that page down. We're going to look at the psychograph or dial planchette. Oh, hang on, we've got Tracy's come on as well. Hi Tracy. You got more toast, honey? Okay.
Cheers.
It's got cheese on toast this time. Yeah. Here's a picture of the dial planchette. That's what it looks like. Bless you. So you see you've got your spinny disc on the inside, and then you've got your letters around the outside, along with you've got numbers. It says no, yes, goodbye, and don't know. So yeah, the spiritualist Hudson Turtle had a small publishing company with his wife Emma. Together they held public seances and contributed to many spiritualist newspapers. He thought there should be a cheap, reliable alternative to the handmade dial plates, so he made a dial plate that wasn't expensive and was easy to mail. Around the circle, painted on the cardboard base, were the alphabet, the numbers 0 through 9, and the words goodbye and don't know. A circular dial with an indicator rotated in the centre of the circle. Ball bearings underneath allowed the dial to swivel smoothly and spell out messages. Advertisements in the spiritualist newspapers ensured that the target audience had the opportunity to purchase their very own spiritual telegraph for an economical $1.25. Turtle called his device the psychograph or dial planchette, and he obligingly kept his customers updated with instructions and improvements as necessary. Unfortunately, the low-priced manufacture of these psychographs meant that few would survive to the modern era, to the shame. Oh my god. It says, I can't take a photo, but I've started a pile of soft clothing waterproof hazards. I think it's nice. And started the food store today and wasn't even got FaceTime. That sounds good. Hey, puppy. Just have a drink.
Did you know the dial comes from old culture?
No. It did not give me that information. Would you like to elaborate? When you finish that mouthful of cheese on toast?
A dial spirit board
Mm.
stems back to Sumerian Egypt
There we go. A dial spirit board.
in China.
Okay.
There is in the modern ages because they're one of these relics that was advised should not production.
Yeah.
The reason it failed the first time is a conspiracy theory. So
I won't ask you to elaborate more. I'll let you just eat your cheese on toast.
probably does a bit, yeah.
Where was I? The idea was that the tips of the fingers should be placed lightly on the revolving disc, which carries the index over the alphabet, thus spelling by pausing on the appropriate letters the desired message. It is best, at least at first, to allow the fingers to be carried with the disc and not hold them so tightly that the disc slides under them. It should not be expected that success attend the first trial. It's weird when you're reading stuff that was written older days and you wouldn't quite word like that. Your brain tries to make sense of it, and that's why I start going, what? Yeah. Usually better results are obtained when the persons sit together, but it is not essential, and sometimes the very best comes to those who hold their seances by themselves. Yeah, Jeanette said she can't hear you, but I know it's because he's muttering in the corner whilst eating toast. He's just saying that stuff happens, as Evan said. Yeah, the dial plates, there is evidence of them going back to ancient Sumerian, ancient Egyptian times, but they kind of stopped being used because something mysterious and spooky and hidden knowledge, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the dial plate. Then we've got the cable graph and a wonder board. George Foster Pearson made the cable graph, patented in 1900, and it resembled a horseshoe magnet. This is because Pearson felt that magnetism had everything to do with contacting the other side. That wood is not magnetic didn't matter. It was the ethereal fluid that flows mysteriously through the bodies of living beings that was important. Using the magnetic force, you could power the board and thus contact the dead, or so he claimed. That's a picture of that. You see what I mean with the horseshoe design there. Oh, Ben's pointing his finger.
To elaborate on what you just said about that gentleman,
Mhm.
that is now what we know is the electrical magnetic field quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
You probably know this anyway.
No, you're all right, Ellie. No, it's nice. These instruments were close relatives of the earlier Pease hair dial plate talking boards, with several design improvements. Pearson connected the touchpad to the needle dial with a lever and gears, rather than the pulley and rope of the earlier models. This made the action smooth and effortless. He spent more time in the wood shop. Sorry, that was like bad timing there of that paper. More time in the wood shop than with the typewriter, however, and after reading his rambling run-on instructions on the back of the board, you can wonder if he may have been drinking the spirits rather than contacting them. This is exactly what he wrote them for word. I'll show you another picture. That's another version of one without the horseshoe design. Right, anyway, here's instructions. Let me just try and keep everything in order a bit, because that can pop them away. So yeah, a cable graph, an instrument for communicating between the world we now live in and the world we live in after the change called death. Directions for using. After seating yourself in a comfortable position where you can allow free use of your hands and arms, place the instrument in your lap or upon a table, and upon the circular top, place ends of your fingers, lightly having the free use of the arms and shoulder muscles relaxed, and with the thoughts in mind, explain that I'm literally reading like this. There's no, like, no full stop going off here. Free use of the arms and shoulder muscles relaxed, and with the thoughts in mind, explain that you'd be pleased to hear from someone over there and sit in this position for 5 to 10 minutes. If that should not start, try one hand. It has to be magnetized. If it should not start, then have some other person put their hands on the points of fingers, and so operate until you find the one who will assist you, if you have not the power alone to operate it. When once you find the ones to operate it, the rest comes of itself. Through itself, be patient and not bring too doubtful conditions, as conditions have a great influence on the operation of the cable graph. When once you have found the right magnetic force for operating, then ask questions and ask your friends to be brought in contact with you and the machine, and use your best judgment as the fact of their communication. You really need some pronunciation, like, some full stops and whatnot on this. Evenings at the twilight hour is the best time to receive messages. It's easier to read in your head than it is to read out loud, because I haven't got the biggest breath on that. Anyway, persons of spirit. The automaton theory. The clinical term is ideomotor response. You may not realize that, I've kind of like jumped on, that's the history. We're now like, when we're using it now, how is it moving? Why is it moving? What are the theories upon it moving? You may not realize, that you are moving the planchette. This is similar to automatic writing, as was discussed in the last show. Some believe that these written messages come from the spirits. Others felt that the messages came from the medium. Most people who side with the automatism theory think that it is very possible to move the planchette unconsciously. Collective automatism occurs when more than one person is operating the board. So that's because when you think, oh, someone's moving the board, they're moving it, they're moving it subconsciously, that kind of thing. Then you've got the spiritualist theory. This is where you contact or channel these entities through the board. Many advocates of the spiritualist theory think there is no harm in contacting the other realm. Other spiritualist theory supporters, often religious fundamentalists, believe that no one should ever use a Ouija board. Malevolent forces may masquerade as good and cause emotional damage, even death, to the user of the board. They offer as proof the many accounts of spirit possessions reported by experts on the occult and demonology. The absence of any actual emergency room admissions for these Ouija board tragedies does not discourage this kind of thinking. Anything to add, Ben, from a occultology, demonology point of view?
No one's ever died of Ouija board.
There we go. Exactly. Backed up. You've also got. You're right. Common myths and superstitions. Never let the spirits count down through the numbers or go through the alphabet, as they can get out of the board this way.
Nope.
No. If the planchette goes to the four corners of the board, it means you have contacted an evil spirit.
Nope.
No. If the planchette falls from the Ouija board, a spirit will get loose.
Nope.
If you should get an evil spirit, quickly turn the planchette upside down and use it that way.
Nope.
Hi, dog. What doing? Never use the Ouija when you are ill or in a weakened condition, since this will make you vulnerable to possession.
No, but we do suggest don't use it when you're angry or upset or anything like that, due to the fact that anything that comes through could easily be mistaken, cause issues.
There we go. No, sweetie. No. Right, I just have to change position here. Evil spirits contacted through the Ouija board will try to win your confidence with false flattery and lies.
No, but can't be said the same about politicians.
Always be respectful and never upset spirits.
Yes.
Yes. It's kind of self-explanatory on that one, guys. You do a paranormal investigation, you should always be respectful and not upset the spirits. Never use the Ouija in a graveyard or a place where a terrible death has occurred, or you'll bring forth malevolent entities.
No.
But just, don't do it in the graveyard.
Yeah, don't disturb people in graveyards.
No. The very first Ouija boards were made from the wood of coffins. A coffin nail in the center of the planchette window served as the pointer.
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Why was that not in my other information? Because they weren't.
The original ones were used. That's how a lot of original spirit boards were taken. The idea was to use, if you use the wood of a coffin, the person who'd been in the coffin, so it had to be a used coffin.
See, I won't dig it
The
up.
person would be able to be your medium, in a sense, between this world and the next. So using the coffin, say you use the coffin of someone called Sam, then Sam would become your link in between the worlds as the spirit of the board.
Oh, they missed out on the nice introduction, didn't they? When they're just like, oh yeah, you use a nice piece of wood.
That's because that's covered in voodoo.
Oh, different area. Yeah. Ouija boards that are disposed of improperly come back to haunt the owner. This is funny. This turns back up. Oh, hang on, we've got never in capitals. Leave the planchette on the board if you aren't using it.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
When you are done with your session, always say goodbye. If the planchette repeatedly makes a figure 8, it means an evil spirit is in control of the board.
Nope. Energy build up.
Just like when we spin it round, the energy. It's just a similar form of that. Oh, I've put that in the wrong pile now. Oh, you what is the word? Speaking of evil spirits, the latest Ouija supervillain, not my words, that's what is referred to on this webpage that I was reading. A Ouija supervillain. It is though. To make the rounds is the evil spirit named Zozo. According to a recent report, he has been known to rape his victims, completely drain people of all happiness and joy, leaving them depressed and suicidal. He feeds off all the negativity that your soul can produce, slowly getting stronger until he is strong enough to actually hurt you, rape you, and possess you. Variations of this warning are common.
There has never, ever, 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 ever been an actual report or evidence of Zozo raping anyone.
Or doing any of that.
Or doing any of
basically.
that whatsoever. So, yeah.
False. Oh, Christina's on. Hi, Christina. I need another drink, guys. See, I meant to ask you this before going on live. One sec, guys. So, I just had to share with Ben. So, when people come across like the board and it's like, oh, it's saying Zo or Zozo and stuff. Thanks, Evie. Yeah, it's generally just a spirit entity that we refer to as mimics. Nothing big, bad, and dangerous. It's just something on the other side having a bit of a mess around with you, that's all. And depending on how you react, that'll transfer to how they act. So if you start getting all scared and panicky, it'll feed off that and be like, I can have a bit of fun here. Whereas if you just like to go away and stop messing around, just close it, let another, say you want another spirit through, it should just go away. So if you are wanting any more information on the boards or anything I've spoken out about, there is a specific website where I got quite a lot of this information from, and it's really interesting. You want to go to the museumoftalkingboards.com. So now I'm just going to read through some different encounters with spirit boards from different areas of the world. Just a few little tales, basically. Crazed through Ouija, said the Boston Daily Globe, the evening of November 21, 1891. In one of the earliest reported cases of a mishap using a Ouija board, the Globe reported that Mrs. Eugenie Carpenter, a fine-looking woman, and only 20, that's what it says on the actual newspaper article, only 28 years of age, was found wandering almost naked in the streets. Her reason was gone, and at intervals she cried out, "Ouija said so, and I knew it was true." Further investigation revealed that she was married quite young and that her husband had deserted her. For the previous year, she had been receiving the attentions of a young man. Evelyn wants to get another sweetheart. Go on, get some sweetheart. Oh, thanks. Yeah. The attentions of a young man employed as a brakeman on the consolidated railroad, but they had quarrelled over a trifling thing and separated. Upon hearing of the marvellous power of the Ouija board, she bought one and asked whether her husband would ever return to her. The board answered no. She then asked if her lover would ever return, and the pointer spelled out, "He has ceased to love you. He will never return." At this point, she became deathly pale, but after a time regained her composure. It was a couple of mornings later that the neighbour went out to find her wandering up and down the street, muttering herself, "We just said so. I knew it was so." So that's the, yeah, I think she was just kind of having a bit of a breakdown, to be fair. Then you got follow-up articles to this story warned about the evil Ouija witch board and wrote, "Insanity threatens those who consult fortune through her. Catholic clergymen are waging war upon Ouija boards as dangerous to the young." Then you've got Ouija's first recorded suicide, although it's just been blamed on it, occurred in May 1900. Because we know what the papers are like. Papers like to, grab onto something and just run with it and shape it for their own purpose, really. When Mrs. Sarah Elizabeth Griffin took her own life with the poison strychnine, sorry, I've probably not pronounced that right, a former prominent Methodist church worker, she converted to spiritualism and became obsessed with responses from her Ouija board, according to the Boston Daily Globe. As she lay dying, she gave her aged husband this ominous message: "Papa, forgive me, but it was to be. They came tonight and told me I should not delay. This night they wanted me. I have done it, and will soon be with them. Oh, how glad I am that I have been called. They kept calling and calling, saying, 'Tonight, tonight.' They were relentless, and said it was decreed that I should leave at once. So I have merely obeyed the summons. But you will not be alone long, dear, for I shall come for you soon. Yes, sooner than you realise." Bit ominous, isn't it? She's killing herself and then coming back and haunt him and possibly get him. Oh, just got a question. Right, hang on. Let's try and read the screen. Probably a stupid question. Think I already know the answer. So an old friend's mum told me when she was a teen, she and her friends used a Ouija board with a glass cup, knives flew across the room. Do you think she was just trying to spook us that they recorded such thing? I mean, was the place already haunted? Is that why they were doing it there? Had they already had paranormal activity? Was like poltergeist activity happening there? Oh God, hang on. Yes, question. Yeah, I know Ben's fallen asleep. We know he would. It's fine. But yeah. But then there are stories of people like kind of elaborating, embellishing stories to try and put other people off. Because if they don't agree with them and they feel they had something bad happen, they kind of embellish on the story maybe to make it sound worse than it was. But yeah, there's loads of like possibilities really. Just need to look into it more and get more information. So I've gone quiet now because Ben's sleeping. And from what I remember, it was just a teen sleeper, which didn't go into detail about the background. Yeah. It could be poltergeist activity. It could just be, like saying, a bit of embellishment on a story. Right, I'm losing my light. Where am I going? Oh yeah, I should have read that one. So I've got another story here. We've got Mrs. John Howard Curran stunned the literary world. Oh, thank you. Stunned the literary world during a 24-year period. That's from 1913 to 1937. When she channeled an entity named Patience Worth through the Ouija board and produced 6 novels, 2,000 items of blank verse, and hundreds of pages of poetry. She wrote so much that she had her own magazine devoted to her, named, appropriately enough, Patience Worth's Magazine. When push came to shove, Pearl Curran denied that the Ouija board was responsible for her prolific output. Many of her admirers refused to believe this and argued that Pearl had buckled under the pressure and criticisms from outsiders. That would be interesting if that was true, if she was actually there. But how You're better off doing automatic writing, surely, if you're going to channel a spirit to like write books. Wouldn't you really? Because it's going to be there with the board, and it's going to take time to go between letters and because there's spell bits out and make sure you're breaking up the words correctly. As I say, automatic writing would be a far easier way of channeling a spirit to write a book. Okay. Right. Then we've got the story of the Wuchope. Wuachope. I'm not sure on that one. Children. Robert, age 9, and Virginia, 13, wrote an Oz book under the direction of a Ouija board. The year was 1920, and L. Frank Baum, the series' original creator, was dead less than a year. Could this book have been his final literary effort from beyond the grave? Most Oz lovers doubt it. They agreed that Invisible Incy of Oz is not the best of the Oz books, and that is putting it charitably. Some think it may well be the worst. The sleepy town of El Cerrito, California, made the national news on March 7th, 1920, with the headlines, "Whole town Ouija mad." Horrified police arrested 7 people driven insane after using a Ouija board. One girl, only 15, and found naked, explained it was because she could communicate better with the spirits. In the following days, the madness spread to others in the town, including one police officer who ripped off his clothes and ran hysterically into the local bank. Officials quickly held a town hall meeting and decided to bring in mental health professionals to examine the entire population of 1,200 people. To prevent any future outbreak of Ouija mania, they made the rational decision to ban the Ouija boards from the city limits. I've not seen that go off in any paranormal investigations. Not on Facebook, not on YouTube. Where are these paranormal investigators that get possessed to strip off and run around us doing the Ouija board? It's just craziness. Craziness. I'm not the crazy one here. These people are the crazy ones. You're as crazy as me. Right. We've got the most dysfunctional marital relationship award went to the Herds of Kansas City in 1935 after Herbert killed Nellie with 4 shots to the back. 77-year-old Herbert told police that Nellie received messages from the Ouija board claiming that he was in a relationship with a neighbor woman and that he had given her $15,000. After a Ouija seance, Nellie would eye Herbert suspiciously and say loudly, "Well, I've caught you in another lie." That might make it sound really British then. I mean, obviously she's not, because she's in Kansas, but it's better than me trying a Kansas accent. Over a period of weeks, Nellie tortured her husband by wiring him to bedposts and whipping him with a knotted rope. She burned him with a red-hot poker, stabbed a knife into his shins, and forced a confession by holding a revolver to his head. Herbert got possession of the gun after Nellie carelessly left it on a bedside table. Seizing his chance, he sent Nellie to the spirit world for good. Neighbors testified that the Herds had been in a tumultuous relationship for years. The court ruled the slaying as justifiable homicide, and that was the end of that. Evelyn's face is horrified. What are you horrified at? Which point? Yeah. Iris Maloney won $1.4 million in the California lottery after picking the winning numbers through her Ouija board. Evelyn says cheater. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure there are rules about that. Hank isn't laughing at me anymore, chortled Iris. Who uses chortled? I know this is like, ye olde times. We don't use chortled anymore. It's just, you just come across words, it's like chortled. It's just funny. Should bring it back. We need to bring that back into common use. Chortled. Chortling. Yes, dear. Referring to her husband, who had counselled her to throw the damn thing away. Waving a facsimile of the cheque in one hand and her Ouija board in the other, Iris posed for the obligatory photo session before a small group of photographers. I don't know if I will continue to use the Ouija, Iris commented. I'll probably hang it next to my needlepoint collection in our new home. Hank was still in the hospital recovering from a heart attack he suffered after hearing the news of his wife's success and was unavailable for comment. This story's just crazy and funny. 6 United States Army soldiers went AWOL when a Ouija board warned them of a coming global cataclysm. Broken tail lights on their Volkswagen van gave them away and police arrested them. The 6, all with top security clearance, were headed west to live like a survivalist group. An FBI investigation uncovered their Ouija board manifesto, complete with accurate prophecies of the Gulf War and the earthquake in Iran, New York City's destruction by a gas leak, and the second coming of Christ have yet to occur. The army was understanding of the situation and gave the men honourable discharges, reduced them in rank, and docked them half a month's pay. The group's leader currently tours and gives lectures on self-sustaining lifestyles. Going to England now. An English Court of Appeals ordered a retrial after the discovery that jurors used a Ouija board whilst sequestered in a hotel room. The Ouija board told them to vote guilty tomorrow, and they did, convicting the defendant of the murders of 2 people. Adding new meaning to consulting the spirits, the jurors admitted to drinking excessively also, and they were properly remorseful about it. Although a majority rule is necessary for conviction, and only 4 people had used the Ouija board, their lordships decided that they could not dismiss the entire matter as merely a drunken game. The defendant was found guilty at his Ouija-free retrial. Inmates in the California County Jail spooked themselves into near hysteria after using a Ouija board fashioned from a Scrabble set. The prisoners, all hardened Latino gang members from Southern California, believed that they were possessed by the devil and caused such a ruckus that officials had to call in a priest to perform an exorcism. An amazed official for the Santa Clara County Jail System remarked on the ingenuity of the inmates. On the back of a Scrabble board, they created the moon and sun and the letters, all the components of a Ouija board, he said. The prisoners vowed never to dabble in such things again. A Minco, Oklahoma grandmother knifed her son-in-law to death after a session with the Ouija board. Carol Sue Elvaca, 53, then packed her daughter and 2 grandchildren into the car and drove towards Tulsa on Interstate 44. Along the way, she slammed into a road sign attempting to kill them all. Despite 2 broken ankles, she managed to vault a freeway median barrier, rip off her clothes, and run naked into the forest. Why were these people running naked? She was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Oh my God. Police arrested her and charged her with first-degree murder. She was found not guilty by reason of insanity. And I think that's the main thing that's kind of coming across here. People are going a little bit crazy. And it's getting blamed on, in this case, Ouija boards, spirit boards. Yeah. Why not? There's something just a bit weird. Last one now. In June 23rd, 2014, headlines read, 3 American friends hospitalized after becoming possessed following a Ouija board game in a Mexican village. Subsequent investigation revealed what had really happened. The Mexican teens were encouraged by the adult guardian to take the psychedelic drug Brugmansia to help contact the spirit world before a Ouija session. Brugmansia caused a person to fall into a psychotic state and is deadly in large doses. Nevertheless, the guardian insisted she was possessed by a spirit who wanted to harm her. There we go. So we've covered history behind the board. We've covered the many different types of boards there are with pictures. We've covered other similar devices. And then we've gone through some stories, some crazy stories of things that have gone off. Not bad, I don't think. I hope you found it interesting, because I find it interesting when I'm reading it. I hope you guys find it interesting when I'm actually reading it out to you. We have got spirit boards in the house. We have 3 of them. One of them is mine. One of them is Ben's. And then one of them we bought off Facebook Marketplace because we thought, oh, it might be interesting trying to get sold off Facebook Marketplace. And the person didn't really give us any information about it. And that turned out to be quite disappointing.
One thing I've learned from this is that humans are insane.
So yeah, my daughter just said the one thing I've learned about this is humans are insane. Yes, Evelyn. Yes, they are. And yeah, you probably hurt your head doing that. Anyway, oh, Jeanette says that's quite interesting. Thanks. No problem. It would be interesting to like own one of the nice fancy boards, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, just got a question. Have you / do you / would you use them? Also, is it possible to use a pendulum over the board and agree they are all crazy? Yeah. So I do. Yes, I do use them. Do you? As for using a pendulum, I've got like a mini one. It's upstairs. Everyone says she's not getting it. She's not going to be helpful. I doubt it's downstairs. I think it's upstairs. But it's right. Imagine this book being like, square. So like, yeah, that size. But black velvet. Yeah, and then it's got like the letters and it's got the numbers around it, and yes, no. So it's kind of like similar like outlay as a pendulum, but it's just as a spirit board, but it's a pendulum board, and with it being fabric, it's easy just to roll up stuff in a bag, take with. So that's quite fun. I would show you, but it's upstairs, and my helpful helper is not so helpful.
Well, you don't know where it is.
Did you give me the attitude, child? Or I can tell you where it is. But will you go and get it?
Depends, do you know where it is?
Yes.
Where is it?
Right, it's upstairs. You know the chest of drawers on the landing. It's one of the drawers on the left-hand side, either the furthest one or the one next to it, if it's been put back.
The drawers.
Yeah. Either that or it's still downstairs. I think it's upstairs. We'll see. We'll see if she comes back. Just says, no, scare the living out of me. Far too unpredictable, but do enjoy learning and cool. So it's not a board as such. Would be interested to see. Yeah, let's see if Evelyn can go and get it. Jeanette says you can get pendulum spirit boards on Amazon cheap. Right, she's returning. Has she got it?
This?
Yeah, perfecto.
Okay. I had to look in there. I was like,
We just flatten it out. Doesn't do too bad. There we go. So you've got letters, you've got days of the week, you've got yes, no, maybe, unknown, then got some signs of the zodiac there as well, and numbers down at the bottom.
Tuesday.
So yeah. Okay. It's usually roll it up, stuff it in a bag, and off we go. So, rolled up, take it with you. And just flatten it out to use. Yeah, I like that.
Not about that.
So it's been with a sachet of lavender. So it smells of lavender as well. Right. So unless we've got any more questions, I'm going to wrap up the show now because I've been talking and now I want to add a bit of gin to my lemonade. Oh, I believe so fine. Yeah, so thank you for joining me. If you've watched back, thank you for watching back. Hope you enjoyed it. Any other questions or comments, just pop them onto this. Put hashtag replay at start or something like that. Yeah, just to make it stand out that I know that you've watched back and want anything else to add. Just says, wow, that looks far more safer and a bit more precise than the board you're trying to show me. No problem. That was just ordered off the internet. It might have been from Etsy, I think. Yeah. So yeah, anything else? Yeah, basically just what Ben said earlier. Might not be a Sunday show because he might be resting. We are planning on going out tomorrow night for an investigation, but we'll see how Ben is. If Ben needs rest, then Ben needs rest. Yeah, we'll see how we are tomorrow on that one. So we might get out, or we might not. Okay. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Yeah, and we shall see you soon. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye bye.
Oh, hang on. One last go over dress. We'll be interested in sitting on a session if you use that. If okay, that really interests me. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll meet up and like do something. That'll be fun. So yeah. Okay. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Oh, the button's not working. It's just highlighted the end button.